Testimony ended around 4 o'clock today in the Wapaka County trial of two decades-old murders. Tana Togstad and Tim Mumbrew were found stabbed to death in March of 1992. Tony Haase was arrested 30 years later and is currently standing trial on 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. According to court records, a forensic pathologist testified this afternoon. This was the subject of a court fight in this case that we reported earlier this year. The doctor who performed the autopsies in the case is dead. The defense for Haase argued prior to trial that admitting testimony from a pathologist who wasn't involved would be a violation of Hase's rights. The state saying that Dr. Robert Corliss would give his independent opinion as to the cause of the deaths. The state requested Dr. Corliss be allowed to review reports, photos, and x-rays of the observations that were noted by the original during the March 1992 autopsies. Court records show that Dr. Corliss did take the stand this afternoon. The trial will resume tomorrow at 8 a.m.